It's a love of the game that I've had ever since I was small. It was born in the yard with my dad, with a glove and a bat and a ball. It's a love of the game that I'm trying to explain. From the ghost of the past to the legends that last, it's a love of the game. Man, I love baseball.
The 1950s. That was a simpler time in America. For many young people, transportation meant your bike or the bus. It was a time when there were 2 TV channels, maybe 3, but only if your antenna was aimed just right. And it was a time for most boys when summer meant baseball.
I made a journey back in time to a place where the boy who still lives inside me once played baseball. I heard the talk of summer days and wooden bats and flannel uniforms, and I realized that we are all still boys. The first foreign language I learned was baseball. I was 8 the first time I played. I stood at the plate holding a huge Louisville slugger. "Hold the grain up," somebody hollered, "and choke up on the bat." Then somebody shouted, "There are ducks on the pond, and don't put your foot in the bucket." The first pitch came and I closed my eyes and swung and heard somebody say Texas Leaguer as I ran to first base. Then my coach said, "Oh no, shoestring catch." As I sat on the sidelines, I heard 0 for 1. Then as our team took the field, someone said, "Hey kid, you're the hind catcher." I had no idea what they were talking about, any of it. But I soon learned to speak the language of baseball fluently.
Okay, it's the payoff pitch. Give him a roundhouse.
I'm attracted to sporting goods stores, the way some men are attracted to hardware stores. There's something about baseball gloves and spikes that turns me into a kid again. When I smell glove leather, I see my first glove, and I can tell you exactly where I was when I got it. And as I recall my first real baseball spikes, steel spikes, I remember how that was a coming-of-age moment for me. The only comparable feeling was getting my driver's license a few years later. And guess where I drove on my first solo trip? To the big ballpark with my glove and spikes in the back seat. I went back to the big ball field, just me. No one else was around. And then I saw a boy there, but the boy did not see me. Quietly, I watched from a distance as the boy flawlessly fielded ground balls. And then he stepped to the plate and hit a ball in the gap. And he ran the bases with speed I can only imagine today. As the boy stood on second base, dusting off his pants, I dared go closer, and I finally saw the boy's face. And then I realized that the boy was me.
rode my bike down to the park. I'd stay there watching baseball until dark. I'd play games behind the dugout with my friends. We'd run those pop can bases, just trying to pretend that it was us on that field, looking bigger than we were. Was it all that we dreamed, and everything we'd heard? Playing baseball on that big old field of dreams seemed 100 years away.
One more out.
But now I'm looking back, amazed at how it seems. Playing there was just like yesterday. 5 years later, I can still recall the day when I first walked out onto that big field to play, with my dad giving signs as he was tugging at his feet.
Go!
I didn't know if I'd come through, but he sure believed, 'cause it was me on that field, stepping slowly to the plate, with his words in my head, saying, son, don't swing too late. Playing baseball on that big old field of dreams seemed 100 years away. But now I'm looking back, amazed at how it seems. Playing there was just like yesterday. We were young and we were free, loving the camaraderie, learning how to lose and win, and how to go from boys to men. Now I stand up in the batter's box again. I look around the big field as I try to take it in. I remember how I ran around with ease, as I walk around the bases and relive the memories of those who played on that field, where I learned about the game as another generation prepares to do the same. Playing baseball on that big old field of dreams seemed 100 years away. But now I'm looking back, amazed at how it seems. Playing there was just like yesterday. Just like yesterday. It was just like